Hi everyone, I'm Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of July and the new moon that we have coming up in Leo on the 28th. But first of all, I really want to focus on this very rare, once-in-a-lifetime triple conjunction Mars-Uranus North Node. And I talked quite a lot about it in the last video, but it's so important, it's worth recapping on some of that, because when I filmed my themes for 2022 way back in January, I identified this as one of the peak points of the year, and I really think it will be, because as I say, it's once in a lifetime. We haven't had Uranus in Taurus since really it was May 1939 to May 1940, and that was quite a tough time for the world. Remember, Taurus is about our safety, our security needs, etc. It's also to do with the economy, and Uranus was certainly shaking all of that up at that time, if you know your history. But Uranus has just moved to 18 degrees of Taurus. Remember that Uranus has an 84-year cycle, so again, first time in your life it will have moved to that degree. So see where 18 of Taurus falls in your chart, which house area, which area of life, because that's where the change, the possibly radical change, is going to happen for you. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website. Go to the link below, get a 2-part video series that will take you through from zero how to find these points in your chart and what it means for you with every update I do. But particularly if you have any planets or angles between 17 and 19 degrees, particularly of Taurus, but also of any of the other fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, you may well be feeling restless. There's an urge for newness, an urge for freedom, for independence. And if you don't make those changes yourself, they're very likely to come at you from the outside in a more sudden, radical way. So, because the music has to play, but so it's always more comfortable to initiate those changes yourself. Now, Uranus is going to stay absolutely on that degree, 18 degrees of Taurus, rock solid, through till October. So whatever is going to unfold in this particular period I'm talking about here is the setup for October, which I think is a massive month astrologically, but it's also really the setup for the rest of this year, because it's an ignition point. This very rare Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction is an ignition point. It's electrical for what's going to unfold. And I'll be talking a lot more about that Saturn-Uranus final square that happens in October as we get closer. It's not exact by minute, but it's exact by degree. Saturn 18 of Aquarius and Uranus 18 of Taurus at that time. And remember, that's been running all through 2021, 2022, and it comes to its crescendo in October. And you can get a lot of the detail about Saturn versus Uranus in my themes for 2022 video back in January. But essentially, it's about the past versus the future. It's about centralization, government, Saturn, versus decentralization, grassroots up. It's about controls, rules, regulations for your safety versus freedom, maverick, revolution. So that those are the very different archetypes that are clashing, but this is the setup. So one thing to think about personally, see which house it's in for you. What have you already outgrown? Uranus always signals where we have outgrown something. So in that area of life, what have you already outgrown? And what is it that is new that is trying to emerge within you for your evolution? Uranus is always trying to move us to a higher state of being. So really think about those two questions, because they're so fundamental in order to kind of go with the archetype of Uranus and make this process more productive. And I hardly dare use the word comfortable with Uranus, but certainly more productive, because it's always for your highest good. It is for you, take you to a higher state of being. Now, as I've described in the past, Uranus and Taurus, Uranus stays in Taurus till 2026. They are not easy bedfellows, because with Taurus, it's fixed earth. It wants to keep things as they are, keep things steady, don't rock the boat. It's about long-term safety, long-term security. It's about our food supplies. It's about farming, agriculture. It's actually linked to cattle. Think of the glyph of Taurus with the bull's horns. And whereas Uranus is the planet of revolution, and if you're aware of what's happening, for instance, in the Netherlands right now with the farmers, because new policies, new governmental policies are coming in to restrict nitrogen emissions, and so that would mean that Dutch farmers would have to sell their cattle and their farms, etc. So people are taking to the streets. They're Uranian, they're rebelling against those policies. So that is such a clear example. I mean, it couldn't be clearer of Uranus operating in Taurus, the kind of thing we're going to see. And that will be, I think that won't just be for the Netherlands. I think that will spread. Taurus is also linked to the economy, to banking, to finance, to currencies, all of that side of things. So it could well be we see more volatility in that area at this time. This triple conjunction becomes exact on the 31st of July and the 1st of August. But as always, astrology isn't a pinpoint, it's a process. So we are into that energy already, and we'll feel it through till mid-August. And it will be hot in many ways. We're getting heat waves even in the UK right now. Hot Mars, volatile, explosive, eruptive energy. It will be fast because both Mars and Uranus are speedy planets. They always want to do things quickly. So we may see more digital developments at this time, more developments in the crypto market, or the key issue again with that Saturn-Uranus squares, is it going to be centralized or decentralized? And so we are moving into, at the 3D level, because this is about breakdown to breakthrough, it can certainly appear turbulent, chaotic. So be prepared that we are moving on the 3D level into a kind of white water rafting period for some months, which this triple conjunction is going to initiate. Remember, Uranus is the planet of freedom. It's the planet of truth, the planet of clarity, the planet of awakening. It's also linked to the galactic news, contacts, more information, but it can be quite shocking. Shocking truth coming to light. That's what I see very much at this time. Shocking truth coming to light in various ways. And so be prepared for that, and know if that is happening, you have to use your own discernment in every case about what feels right to you. But the shocking truth, I believe, is going to take us again to the higher state of being, to shake up where we have been with the old systems, because it's the breakdown. This is going to accelerate the breakdown of the old systems that I've talked so much about. I think it's very likely that we could have a lot of seismic activity around that time. We're just coming out of the closest supermoon of the year on the 13th of July in Capricorn, 21 of Capricorn. And so that can trigger the tectonic plates. But because the Uranus is also the planet of earthquakes, and it's going to be energized by Mars, and actually Mars-Uranus is the classic signature for earthquakes and volcanic activity. It's very likely we'll see seismic activity. That message, that potential is reinforced because Sedna, the dwarf planet, is at the very last degree of Taurus, 29 degrees, 49 minutes of Taurus, the anaretic degree. And the anaretic degree of any sign tends to express in an extreme way, and Taurus is fixed earth. So that also suggests some kind of disruption, volatility around major earth events, earth movements. We're well aware this year we've got much more unstable geomagnetics because of the drop in the suns and the Earth's magnetic shields. We are seeing a lot more M-class and X-class flares coming in. And yes, they can feel very destabilizing for us physically, but they are bringing in new information from far galaxies, new information for us, which we are integrating into our own human bodies. Taurus is also the human body, as well as fixed Earth. So if we look at where this triple conjunction, I mean, particularly I'm looking at because they happen kind of, the Mars part of it kind of catches up a few hours later. But if I just look at the Uranus North Node conjunction, remember North Node is our future collective destiny, where we are meant to be heading to, and Uranus is going to take us in quantum jumps. Not going to be smooth, it's not going to be linear, it's going to be fast, it's going to be unexpected at times, but it's going to take our understanding, our awareness, our state of being in quantum leaps. But where this conjunction is going to be most potent, most powerful, is where it becomes angular by astrocartography. Don't worry too much about the technicalities, but it's falling on the IC, the land, if you like, the base of the chart, the land, across Western South America, going up through Eastern Mexico, straight line up through Cuba, the eastern states of the US, skimming Washington, DC. And also, if we look at where it is angular over the midheaven, that is running through China, Indonesia, Thailand, that may be more to do with the governments there. We shall see. So often it means that one or some of those geographies come into the news. They are more probable, more likely to come into the news around this time. I think we're also going to see a lot more new technologies for healing. They are already developed, but they're becoming more publicly available. There are going to be some astonishing technologies to accelerate our evolution. I mean, I absolutely know that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So let me now talk about the other details of the second half of July. On the 17th, Pluto in Capricorn is going to directly oppose Mercury in Cancer. And Mercury is the planet of communication. Pluto is the planet of power and control. So we may well see more, even more censorship around that time. And that's a theme that's picked up again just a few days later. On the 20th, the moon comes to conjunct Eris in the square to Pluto. Now that square between Eris and Pluto, Eris at about 25 of Aries square into Pluto, that has been running all through 2020, all through 2021, through 2022, and it continues till, again, round about the autumn time. And then the next day, the 21st, Eris turns stationary retrograde. And whenever an outer planet in particular moves stationary retrograde, it changes direction. It's kind of like this huge ship that slows, stops, and then moves off in a different direction. So for several days to either side, the symbolism is emphasized. Now, I've talked about this many, many times, but just to recap, Eris is the goddess of chaos and discord. She, in myth, is the sister of Mars. She's warrior energy. She's all about fighting, street fighter, feisty, taking to the streets to fight against any inequality, against any elitism, against any untruth, in order that everybody in society is included. Social inclusion. Nobody is left out. And so this is the urge, but clashing in that square to Pluto against top-down government. So it's like the individual versus the state, if you like. So that's going to be emphasized at this time. And remember, we're into this wired electric Mars-Uranus North Node energy already. A few hours after that, the moon conjuncts Uranus. So again, highlights Uranus. And then on the 28th of the month, we have a new moon at 5 degrees, 38 minutes of Leo. And this is happening at 10:54 p.m. Pacific and 6:54 p.m. UK time. So let me just show the chart now, share my screen. Again, I've set this for the UK. This is where I live, so ignore the clock face, the houses. Just look at where the planets sit and their aspects to each other. One thing just to point out, we have a lot of planets in fixed signs. Saturn, fixed. Mars, Uranus, fixed in Taurus. Sun, Moon, Sun, Mercury, fixed in Leo. That's a lot of fixity. And actually, this North Node here in Taurus, the South Node is generally not shown in charts, but if we include the South Node at 18 degrees of Scorpio, because the South Node is always, did I say always, opposite the North Node, we actually have a fixed grand cross. So that suggests enormous tenacity and willpower for whatever your beliefs are. And it also suggests that they're entrenched and that we could be at cross purposes with other people, but nevertheless, we're tenacious, we have strong will, and we believe them profoundly. Ultimately, we are going to come to unity consciousness, of course, but this tends to highlight that sense of, yes, being at cross purposes to others who have different views. I'm going to talk about the Leo energy in a moment, but just to pick out one important configuration here, we have Saturn, 23 of Aquarius. This is opposing Mercury, 18 of Leo, and they are both squaring here this triple conjunction, Mars, North Node, Uranus in Taurus. And to me, what that's about is if a lot of shocking truths and revelations and disclosures are coming to light, I believe it's very probable, just like we had on the 17th of the month, Pluto opposing Mercury, we now have Saturn opposing Mercury. And Saturn is also the planet very much to do with control. So keeping a lid on whatever truths are emerging. I think that's very likely in how it's going to manifest. For many of us, Uranus is exact by degree, 18 of Taurus, Leo, in a square to Mercury. So yes, shocking truths are going to come to a lot of us, insights, downloads, flashes, brilliant original ideas are going to come from this time too. So that's a real positive with the revelations. I think this could really kind of jump us in our understanding in lots and lots of ways, and it's going to be happening quickly. Now, I've written in here Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, at 2 degrees 14 of Leo. So the sun and moon, the new moon here, are conjunct Ceres. Ceres is the goddess of harvests and corns, again linked to agriculture. So with the sun and moon being conjunct Ceres, that again is suggesting perhaps some ongoing issues around disruptions in food supply. If we go back to that very powerful Saturn-Pluto conjunction on the 12th of January 2020, Ceres was actually sandwiched right between Saturn and Pluto at that very powerful kind of kickoff for the pandemic aspect. And so that's why I mentioned at the time that from that point on, we could start to see some food shortages, food disruptions, and that is also signaled by Uranus in Taurus. Uranus, as I've said, is going to stay in Taurus until 2026. Taurus, food, Uranus disruption. So two signals here. So these may be ongoing at this time. So again, as I've always said, just have long dated food you love to eat in the house that you'd eat anyway, and then you're well prepared. There's no panic. But it's very interesting that Jupiter here at 8 of Aries is actually in a trine aspect to the sun, the moon, and Ceres. So that does suggest some kind of expansion of those issues potentially. Now, Leo is a beautiful energy. It's fixed fire, it's sociable, it's upbeat, it's optimistic. It's very much to do with expressing your unique self, finding your unique essence and creatively sharing that with the world. Very creative, can have flair and style and drama, but it's very much about your individual self-expression. And Jupiter is going to be expanding that too. And Leo is also heart energy, very linked to the heart. And I've talked a lot in the past in various videos about the respected HeartMath Institute in America and how they have discovered so much physiologically about the heart, and how the electromagnetic field of the heart is actually 5,000 times greater than that of the brain. I mean, astonishing. And some years ago, there was a doctor called Dr. Andrew Armour, and he discovered that there are 40,000 brain neurons in the heart. People tell me that Greg Braden often talks about this. So there are 40,000 brain neurons in the heart. And Dr. Armour referred to that as the little brain. I actually think that the heart is a much bigger brain than the brain, because it's an emotional intelligence. It's a heart-based intelligence as opposed to just a rational intelligence. So the more we can drop into coherence, the HeartMath Institute have discovered, and we do that by simply stepping into feelings of love, joy, gratitude, appreciation, or peace. Peace is a coherent emotion. It doesn't have to be excitable. If we can step into any of those emotions, every cell in our body becomes coherent, which is just fantastic for our health. But we expand that electromagnetic heart field, and we infect everyone we come into contact with that loving coherence. So they pick it up too. It's unconscious. They can't help but do that. We also are infecting the collective with coherent energy. Beautiful. And all we have to do is drop into the heart, imagine that we're breathing in and out of the heart, close your eyes, just allow the breath to breathe you. This will slow and deepen your breath. You can then take a couple of seconds pause when you're comfortable, at the end of each exhale, and just drop deeper and deeper into that breath. You can do that whenever, several times a day. It instantly starts to lower your cortisol levels, your stress hormones. It boosts your immune system, and it creates this coherence in your energy field with which you can infect other people very positively. Because out there in the 3D world, it's going to be pretty wild and crazy. There may not be much coherence. There may be a lot of incoherence. So this is an inside job. We create coherence for ourselves and for the collective by doing these free, anytime, anywhere, closing your eyes, dropping into your breath and your heart. Super simple. Really suggest you do that, because what is beautiful here is not only that this new moon is in Leo, and again, see where that falls in your chart, and don't forget to set a new intention for this new seed that you're planting, but it is being expanded by Jupiter, this very positive trine from Jupiter. And Jupiter is the planet of optimism, positivity, hope. It's visionary. It's visionary for the future. It's very future oriented. And not only that, but you'll notice I've circled this S. That means Jupiter is stationary at this time. Just like Eris was stationary on the 21st of the month, this is stationary on the 28th. And again, as I said about Eris, it's going to expand the symbolism of Jupiter. So we have huge potential here for heart expansion, for love expansion. It's in the astrology. Really beautiful. Don't forget that Jupiter is also in Aries. And by the way, if I'm thinking about sovereignty, say, as a subject, the two signs I would instantly think of would be Aries, I am, I exist, and Leo, I let my light shine. Those are the two signs that would just spring to mind when I think about sovereignty. So that's going to come up as an issue too. Aries, as I've described recently, is warrior energy. It's pioneering. It's the adventurer. It's finding the hero within yourself. So all of it's never victim energy, Aries. It's very strongly in your center, in your power. So this is wonderful. And the other aspect that is so positive here, because things are happening at different levels here. Yep, wild and crazy on the 3D level. That doesn't have to be the timeline you live on. Yes, for sure it's a timeline. Undoubtedly, stuff is happening for real on that 3D level. Doesn't have to be your timeline. You can stay in your eagle's perch, do your breath work, help the collective, help yourself. And a beautiful aspect here is Chariklo that I haven't talked about for a little while because she hasn't come into aspect at 628 of Aquarius, very tightly opposing Sun and Moon here at 538 of Leo. And just to remind you that in myth, Chariklo was the wife of Chiron. She helped to heal Chiron from his wound from the poisoned arrow. And she did that simply by her state of being. She's very linked to, I think, the Buddhist ground of being, that permanent stillness, that permanent peace that we can all drop into, which you can do with the heart breath. Just dropping into that peace, that stillness, that serenity. It's said that Chariklo is around, she's very much the archetype for transitions of life to death, but also in transitions of consciousness. And we are going through a massive transition of consciousness for humanity right now. Biggest evolutionary jump probably ever. That's what we're going through right now. Appears pretty wild and crazy and lumpy and rocky on the outside. Yep, got to break through to break down to break through. But just think of that Chariklo energy, that stillness, that Buddhist eternal state of being, ground of being. Because when you put that together in with the other very positive aspects here between Jupiter, stationary Jupiter in Aries, trying to Sun and Moon in Leo, anything that is not of love will fall away. Anything that is not of love will fall away at this time. And I also think as Jupiter then starts to go retrograde from this point, Jupiter's about our beliefs. Many people, because of whatever truths come out at this time, will be reevaluating their beliefs big time, of what they have believed up to now. It's going to be a big part of our going forwards here. So there's some really positive, beautiful aspects here. And as I said in the last video, just lock on to that docking station of the love revolution. That's what's been created right now by you, by me. If you're listening to this video, you are creating it too. We are forming an energetic hologram right now. I'm going so goosebumpy around the love revolution. So you lock on to that docking station and you don't let go until it manifests in your world. You are absolutely relentless in your focus because we are going to bring the more beautiful world is going to manifest not through logic, but through love. And I believe that in every cell of my being. So a lot in there today. I hope it's helped you. We are really moving into big, big, big times in these next 6 months, extraordinary times. So always go beyond what you see on the news. Go beyond and remember to keep dropping inwards, keep your focus inwards rather than outwards with the turbulence of the 3D events. Stay on your eagle's perch. So if you'd like more information about my books, my teaching videos, my long monthly newsletter, just check out my website, pamgregory.com. Don't forget to set a new intention at this new moon in Leo. And God bless. We are riding the wave of love right now. Bye for now.